If you care about what you put into your body and what those around you consume, there are many reasons to support why we should move towards more sustainable food choices. But first, what is a sustainable diet? The concept of sustainable diets are those that promote environmental and economic stability through low impact and affordable foods, while at the same time improving public health through adequate nutrition. But did you know that by the year of 2050, the number of people on Earth is expected to increase from the current 7.8 billion to 9.8 billion? So this then leaves us with the question of whether we will have enough food for everyone to maintain a sustainable diet. Malnutrition seems to be an ongoing issue with sustainable diets. Take a minute to pause and take a look at how the lack of sustainable diets can lead to a significant increase in malnourishment issues. The CDC notes that American diets are usually poor in nutritional quality, and those from low income families lack convenient places that offer affordable and healthier foods, which then makes sense why someone would rather choose an affordable fast food restaurant over a healthy meal. A solution to fix this issue would be to provide accessible, healthy, and affordable foods, right? But will the process to provide sustainable foods uphold the health and safety standards for our environment? Production of sustainable foods causes depletion of natural resources, loss of biodiversity, deforestation, and land degradation. On top of that, a lot of negative impacts of food choices are caused by the increased meat consumption, which then contributes to the emission of greenhouse gases. Here are the carbon benefits of eating sustainable with less meat. As you can see, the carbon intensity of eating beef and lamb seem to be the highest as compared to the others, therefore, meaning that there's a higher carbon intensity when consuming those types of meats. Many argue that the solution is to cut out meat completely, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. We should just consume less because meat is seen as a vital source of sustainable nutrition for those who do not have access to another alternative. So, overall, we just need to decrease our meat consumption. A way to do so is no meat Mondays. By not eating meat one day a week, this reduces 15% of the amount we usually consume. Therefore, this is at least a start to try to decrease the damage being done in our environment.
When thinking back to Isabella's question of how will we have enough food for everyone to maintain a sustainable food diet and eliminate the malnutrition problem, genetically modified organisms are the solution. Genetically modified organisms are crops that have had their original genome manipulated by insertion of a gene from a similar or completely different species of organism. This can result in the crop having desirable features such as insect repellent properties or more produce per plant. For example, on how plants are genetically modified, this stated from the New York Times, in order for spinach to become frost tolerant, a gene from a fish that lives in icy waters may be inserted into the crop in order to achieve this effect. There are many pros and cons of GMOs that cause many people to either support or steer clear of them. Some pros include incorporating desirable traits into the crop, creating more produce to maintain a sustainable food source, and that the GMO products are easy on our wallets. This makes it very affordable for us to consume the foods that we want. Some cons include that GMO products have the potential to cause antibiotic resistance in humans, that labeling of GMO products are not mandatory in all states, and that the consumer is uninformed on how the crop is being modified. Some solutions to the concerns that people have with GMOs include mandating laws that require the labeling of GMO products, even if the genome was only changed by 1%. A video from the New York Times showed that Vermont passed a law that required all products that were genetically modified or altered to be labeled as GMO in order to eliminate buyer and consumer uncertainty. Another solution includes using a non antibiotic marker called racemake during the modification process to eliminate the risk of humans developing antibiotic resistance. Lastly, educational workshops can be held to educate the consumer on how crops are genetically modified and inform them of the pros and cons to eating everyday genetically modified foods. After presenting these pros and cons to my professor, Dr. Hicks, I asked him to answer some brief questions for us. Hi, everyone. I have Dr. Hicks here from the Monmouth University Biology Department. He is our genetics professor, and he's going to tell us his take about GMOs. So, let me ask you, what is your take on genetically modified crops, helpful or harmful?
Well, altogether, I would say most helpful. Humans have been modifying agricultural crops for centuries, perhaps millennia. Traditionally, and still to this day, generating new varieties of crops is carried out through cross fertilization and cross pollination of different strains or species of our favorite agricultural species, from tomatoes to grapes, even different species of agricultural crops, such as mixing of old world and new world cotton, can produce a more robust cross of cotton, making the clothes we wear, making them even stronger. These these are great benefits to the economy, and genetically modified crops can maximize production, reduce harmful microbes, insects, and pests, while generating novel varieties of our favorite foods and the crops.
Great. Do you feel that labeling of GMO products should be mandatory?
Well, I do think that is a good thing. I think we need to transition to that. We should definitely label and begin to develop a more detailed labeling system that is more specific to the genetic changes that are going on with the crops. And these should even be associated with peer-reviewed literature, like we do in medicine, which we there when we produce a new drug, it goes through peer review process. So we can educate the next generation of our population to understand the role of genetically modified foods in the modern world and crops, I should say. So thank you, Alexa. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Thank you. Ultimately, you should support GMOs for reasons such as the ability to end malnutrition, having affordable and accessible healthy foods, ability to grow crops in places with bad farming conditions, ending world hunger, eliminating the use of pesticides, which ultimately can save water bodies from contamination, and lastly, have delicious, more nutritious foods in our bodies. You, as a consumer and citizen, can support GMOs by learning more about how some crops are modified and educating others about the benefits that genetically modified crops may bring. Such benefits include a reduction in pesticide use and it being a successful way in coping with climate change in agriculture. Increasing the amount of GMO products purchased can help both our environment and our economy. Go GMOs!